Alright guys, how Fall Guys copies are past original, guys. Let's check it out.
3 years ago, Fall Guys had one of the most successful launches in gaming history.
Bro. You actually need like a decent computer to run this game, man. I've never played Fall Guys though. Let me know if you have in the comments below though.
Today it's overshadowed by its clone called Stumble Guys, which has over 5 times the downloads. In this video, we're investigating one of the most mysterious phenomena in gaming history, and it all started in August 2020. In the first month of Fall Guys, we witnessed a level of popularity that was different from anything we've seen.
Bro, if the big streamers play it, it's gonna become a popular game. You have stuff like, you know, Only Up getting mega popular through streamers. What's that other game that's like it? It's like the predecessor to it, but it was a little bit harder, it looks like it. Like, you know. Streamers do help the game blow up and stuff, for sure, man.
In the past few years, Dr. Disrespect and PewDiePie were playing the game together. It was that big despite not even being free to play. It brought something new to.
Well, that might be our answer, guys. I think Stumble Guys is gonna be free to play.
The Battle Royale genre and provided a great multiplayer experience during a time where we needed one. In September, things began to shift as a new challenger appeared, Among Us. Despite being out since 2018, Among Us suddenly reached an even bigger level of virality than Fall Guys. Despite being similar.
Yo, I think I'd rather play Fall Guys over Among Us. Among Us, again, it's a mobile game. So, you know, mobile games do win over, like, computer games because a phone is, like, you know, cheaper to run than a computer game.
Similar in many ways. While Fall Guys was sufficient as a party game that brings people together, Among Us did an even better job of this. Playing these same 20 levels in Fall Guys began to feel stale, and as players became more skilled, the game began to feel less welcoming for casuals. On the 24th of September...
What? Casuals? Man, there's a competitive nature to it now, guys? What?
Stumble Guys launched on the Google Play Store only 46 days after the launch of Fall Guys. With so little
Bro, how did they do that, man?
development time, Stumble Guys didn't offer a quality gameplay experience compared to Fall Guys, which had been in development for years. However, it does have two advantages, being free.
There we go, see what I mean? I was right. Free to play games just win. I don't know why RuneScape is not free to play, guys. Like, imagine if RuneScape was free to play. It would be so cracked for us guys. Like an MMO that's free to play. Wow.
And being available on mobile. Among Us and Stumble Guys share both of these advantages, making them much more accessible than Fall Guys, which you could only play on PC or a PS4 with half the frame rate.
What?
Season 2.
Oh, and also I mentioned that, guys. It's a mobile game, guys. So is Fall Guys still not on? Is it still not on like a mobile, guys?
Of Fall Guys was launched on October 8th, and the reception to this update was mixed at best. It added 5 new levels and some extra content, but this update by itself wasn't enough to refresh the gameplay experience.
All they had to do is make it free to play, guys. For real.
Over the rest of the year, Among Us continued to dominate the gaming market, and Fall Guys continued to fall off. On February 16th, 2021,
GG. I mean, if it's only available on PS4, what are they thinking, man? What about like the Switch? What about the Xbox?
Stumble Guys made
What about the PS5? PS5 was out then, right, guys? I think it was.
on the iOS App Store, now available on both of the major mobile gaming platforms. This is about 5 months after launching on the Google Play Store, which is plenty of time for the developers to fix bugs and add more content.
Oh, they did launch it. Okay.
In March,
They should have launched it all together, but hey. Maybe they're just competing with Stumble Guys on who can launch their thing first.
Fall Guys was acquired by Epic Games, and this led to a lot of polarizing changes that we saw in Season 4. This season added an impressive 9 levels to the game, but also came with decisions that had negative reception, like adding skill-based matchmaking to solos. Meanwhile,
hey, what's wrong with that, guys? You know, get matched up with people that are, you know, better at or just as good as you in the game. I don't think that's
Stumble
bad.
Guys is
I don't think that's bad.
gaining traction despite Fall Guys remaining dormant. It looks like its player count rose at the beginning of 2021 and plateaued for the rest of the year. Stumble Guys made another big move on October 7th, 2021, when it launched on BlueStacks and became available for Windows, Mac, and Linux users.
Yay, finally, guys.
This is the first time that the two games started competing for market share on PC. Interestingly, it was priced at $8 on Steam, but came with access to the Premium Pass, basically a bunch of cosmetics.
Hey, bro. It's always good when you can unlock everything in the game, right, guys? It doesn't feel like you're held back. Even if it is just a bunch of cosmetics, in my opinion.
Being free would explain its slow launch on Steam, but it gradually built momentum and peaked at 651 active players in 2021. It had way more.
What, that's it, guys? 600? I was expecting like 100,000, bro. What?
On mobile, but it's interesting to compare this to Fall Guys, which stabilized around 9,000 active players on Steam across the entire year.
Oh, I think it's on. That many players are on at once, guys. Sheesh.
2022 was by far the most eventful year of this saga. Stumble Guys made a Facebook post on January 31st announcing that they reached 50 million active.
Guys, there's so many apps with like 1 billion downloads and stuff, guys. It's pretty cracked.
Players, and it's difficult to figure out why it took until early 2022 for this game to take off. They didn't release any game-changing updates. Instead, they took the approach of gradually drip-feeding content into the game one level at a time. With this strategy, they can avoid the long content drought that Fall Guys endured through the.
Yo, that's actually smart as flip, though. One level every week? That helps people play the game more often, I think.
First half of 2022. It's also worth noting that Stumble Guys lacked a big social media presence before this post. On April 1st, Stumble Guys became free on all platforms. It grew from 800 to 8,000 active Steam players.
Dude, free to play. See what I mean? Just 10 times the player base. RuneScape, if you ever watch this, please consider making the game free to play. Please, bro.
During this time, and grew at a similar scale on mobile. Fall Guys has not had any new content added for a while, but 45 days later, they finally strike back when announcing their biggest update by far, Free For All. At this point, 7 seasons of levels have been added to Fall Guys, and the variation in gameplay made it a lot more fun. Not only was the game better, but it became more accessible by going free to play and adding support for Xbox and Switch. This update completely revived the Fall Guys community and put a dent in the advantage that Stumble Guys had until this point. Fall Guys experienced major growth by the beginning of July, going from 10 million downloads to 50 million, finally reaching the same number that Stumble Guys did in January. But
Finally. You know, in business, there's like 2 corporations that are very similar that kind of put out the same thing. You know, Apple, Microsoft, and yeah. This is Apple Android rather, but you know, this is a prime example of it. Intel, AMD, Fall Guys, Stumble Guys. They both got guys in the name.
Stumble Guys isn't stuck at 50 million anymore. Now they're at a whopping 163 million. The rise of Fall Guys ended up fueling the rise of Stumble Guys, and the quality of Stumble Guys got better over time, now rivaling the gameplay experience of the original. The relationship between these two games becomes a much different conversation now, and besides accessibility, this is for one reason: who each game is competing against. When you're playing Fall Guys on PC or console, you can choose to play AAA games instead, like Elden Ring and Tears of the Kingdom. On mobile, Stumble Guys doesn't have to compete against games of that quality. Instead, they're competing against the likes of Subway Surfers and Candy Crush.
Hey, some Subway Surfers does have a dedicated community, man. They got like 1 billion plus download. Candy Crush, I don't know anyone that really plays Candy Crush.
The point is that this type of gameplay is very strong on mobile, but relatively weak on PC and console. Remember that Epic Games and
That's what I would think. That's what I was thinking, bro.
Apple got into a legal battle over monetization on Fortnite Mobile, which prevented Epic from releasing a mobile version of Fall Guys on the App Store. If there was a mobile version,
whole lawsuit freaking took down their potential to do all that? What?
We might see very different player counts for both games. In September,
1,000 people playing. It's not the best, guys.
Things began to get really ugly when Fall Guys released their next season, which came with the
hey, at least we know there's not bots playing, right, guys?
Controversial decision to start vaulting some of the previous levels. The game had just solved its issue with level variance and then completely...
Guys, what is vaulting, bro? I have no clue what he's talking about.
Undid all of that progress. People were understandably pissed at this decision, to the point where hashtag #SaveFallGuys started trending, and the community basically asked Epic Games to stop being Epic Games. It seemed like the developers were having a difficult time fixing bugs across all of the new platforms. We would see additional levels get vaulted due to these bugs, restricting the level pool even further. Meanwhile,
I do say that Fall Guys just looks like a better game though, straight up.
While Stumble Guys also got acquired by a company called Scopely. I found it interesting that Fall Guys was bought at one of its low points, while Stumble Guys was bought at its peak. When a game gets acquired by a larger company, it ideally adds more content and developer support, but skill-based matchmaking and vault.
Yeah, they sponsored Mr. Beast, guys. Stumble Guys sponsored Mr. Beast.
Vaulting seemed to do more harm than good. Getting acquired by Scopely seemed to do a lot of good for Stumble Guys.
Yo, this actually looks pretty fun.
Because it's an easier game to manage on only mobile and PC. This contributed to Stumble Guys reaching an all-time high of concurrent Steam players, and Fall Guys reaching an all-time low in the same month. By
Yikes.
the end of the year, Stumble Guys became the fastest growing mobile app of 2022, and Fall Guys lost 86% of its player base. I would
GG.
never have imagined this turn of events 3 years ago. There's one more question. How are both of these games doing this year? Well, Stumble Guys continued their usual strategy of drip-feeding content into the game, while Fall Guys suffered its biggest content drought yet, going from November to May without a new season. That is half a
Yikes.
year. But there is something that both games have handled extremely well: collaborations. Epic Games already knew how to score collaborations from Fortnite, so they applied the same thing to Fall Guys, and it worked.
Oh my gosh, bro. Hey, at least they're doing something, right? I think whenever Valkyrie's live, I think she'll be playing Fall Guys. Still, like, she still plays Fall Guys, I think, on stream. I don't think she plays Stumble Guys.
Final Fantasy XIV to Sonic and even SpongeBob, they've done a great job with cosmetics.
Yo, that's cool.
Stumble Guys had
They aren't gonna have Mario though, right?
equally impressive collaborations with the NFL, Barbie, and Mr. Beast, so they were able to match Epic's pace on this. On May 10th, Fall Guys launched their highly anticipated creative mode. This is a major step forward, as a level builder is one of the best things a game can have.
Yo, I mean, take it from Super Mario Maker, right, guys? Level builder in the game as well. They're doing things crazy good right now.
For longevity.
How's Fall Guys gonna compete with this?
There were a total of 20 levels made by the developers in creative mode, which sounds amazing, right? But there's a few problems with this. Since the developers were only using the same tools that we now have access to, it limits the quality of the actual level.
Cause they had to have a disclaimer for non-gameplay footage included. Interesting.
And when they started dominating playlists, players missed having levels that pushed quality over
What's up, Watson?
quantity. Besides that caveat, Fall Guys is
Please consider donating,
in a
brother.
decent spot right now in terms of how fun it is to play. It received only a
Guys, what would you play, Fall Guys or Stumble Guys?
31% bump in player count when this update came out, and I think the lesson to be learned here is that once you lose your community, it's very hard to earn them back, even after solving
Oh, trust me, I know that as a streamer, man.
Solving the issues with level variants. Stumble Guys isn't really growing anymore, but it's not declining either. It stabilized at around 7,000 players on Steam and reached a grand total of 273 million downloads with $81 million of revenue. This game went
Bank, that's bank.
from being considered nothing more than a ripoff to one of the most successful.
Straight up took the market, man. Alright guys, check out HENKE in the description. Was honored to help you on this. Research and music choices on this was great. I think there's actual love and compassion from Mediatronic when they make the game Fall Guys. While Stumble Guys is just a lazy cash grabbing ripoff of Snit. And they only play it because it's on more platforms than Fall Guys. When their friends play it, sheesh, bro, sheesh. But it's not free to play. So what about that? What about that? I still have no idea why really big people and companies collabing with Tumble Guys instead of Fall Guys. It's bonkers. I'm sure they offered a good amount with their $81 million in revenue. Alright guys, see you guys next one. You want my reactions live on Twitch, so if you want to come through, say hi, you're more welcome, and I'll see you guys next one. Later.